Hello friends, we're here today in 1 Timothy chapter 1. The 1 Timothy is the first of what is known as the pastoral epistles. These are letters from Paul to the different leaders of the church that he established. Now, two of them are to Timothy and the other one is to Titus. And so these really deal with leadership in the church. So he gets going in this chapter and he starts right away talking about the leadership in the church, saying that there's people that are unfit to be teachers. They're kind of babbling on about genealogies and things that don't really matter so much. And they want to be teachers of the law, but they know nothing about the law. And so he's saying, these people are well-intentioned maybe, but they're not fit to be leaders and teachers in the church. So he says our aim should be this. So this is what he's saying. The leadership of the church should be this. They should be motivated by love, with a good conscience, a pure heart, and what was the last one? And good faith, like a sincere faith. That's what the leadership of the church should look like. However, the people that tend back then to get in leadership and the people that tend to get in leadership now are people that kind of want to be in power. They want to be the one telling people what to do. And that is opposite of what Paul is saying he wants, like a sincere heart and love and compassion and faith. These things are almost diametrically opposed to the people that want to just come in for power to tell people what to do. So he starts talking about the law also. And he's saying, the law is good. Now he's bringing up the law here because the law is what they wanted to teach. And he's saying it's good. It's good to teach the law, but it's also good to remember that the law, it's not for the good. It's for the bad. When he lists the people, he lists a whole series of sins. Among those sins, I'll just highlight a couple of them. One of them was people that strike their mother and their father. That must have been a thing. That sounds pretty horrible to me. If you're watching this, don't strike your mother and your father, because that's a sin. You probably already knew that, but I guess somebody at the time needed to hear that you're not supposed to strike your mother and your father. Something that we do need to hear is that he mentions yet again in the Bible, and I only bring this up because I feel like our culture says, oh, the Bible doesn't say that's a sin. But it mentions porneia, that's the Greek word. And that's the word that means sexual immorality. That is any sex outside of marriage. And then he mentions homosexuality. He says men that practice homosexuality, but it's important to notice that back then they would also often use the term man for mankind. There's the ESV Study Bible says there's no reason to believe that this doesn't include women at all. So for the sake of being politically correct, I'll make sure that we include women also, that's a sin for them. So he mentions all of these sins. And he also mentions things like murder and people who lie, and so there's all these sins. And then he says something that's really interesting at the end. He says, but I thank God that he has shown me grace. Now this is his point here. He's saying of all of these sinners that I mentioned, he said, I am the worst. Now I don't think this is a sense of false humility. I don't know of anybody else who was actively persecuting Christians because they were Christians. Someone who would actually kind of lead the way to having, a leader in the church be put to death. I've never done that. And so, though I don't think Paul is the worst that we could find today, I don't think that he's trying to be, falsely humble. I think that he really did think that he was one of the worst of Christians. Someone who has sinned more than should ever be forgiven. But he's saying, I thank God that he has given me this grace. So to his earlier point, he's saying that the law is not for the good, but for the bad. And he's saying, and I'm included in the bad. He's saying the law is for me, but the law is there so that you can be convicted of your sin. That's what it's there for. Once you're convicted of your sin, there is a whole new ministry that comes from just living in grace. And what it means to live a Christian life, what Paul is getting to is that it's more important once to get past that conviction of sin and living a righteous life, not so that you can be saved, but so that you can have a better relationship with God. So that's the first chapter in 1 Timothy. I hope you have a great day. Bye.